Okay, so welcome to our New York Regional Council You Lead event. I'm Daphne Luciano. I'm kicking us off. I had the pleasure of being the leader of this event with my other regional council members who are all great. We really wanted to create this kind of panel of expert situation we have going on here to create a crash course for people either interested in creating an Operation Smile Club or people who already have clubs that want to know certain tips and tricks, and also people who just want to learn more about the organization. So we have 4 awesome speakers with us here today. And we're just really excited to talk to you all about this organization that I think we all just equally have so much love and passion for. So I think we're going to kick off with some introductions. We can switch the slide. Oh, start with our agenda. I'm sorry. So our leaders. Okay, starting with me. My name is Daphne. This is my second year running the Edgemont High School Operation Smile Club in Scarsdale, New York. So I'm about 30 minutes outside of the city. We started during the pandemic, which was a bit of a rocky start, but we were able to partner with the organization and start certain initiatives like Families for Families, which started with Operation Smile and things like that. And we were able to create over 40 grocery bundles for families in need and facing eviction during COVID. Aside from that, we really have just tried to really educate our school on cleft conditions and Operation Smile as a whole. And so now that we're in our second year, I think it's awesome just the amount of people that we've been able to educate and get involved in our club. So yeah, I'm super excited. This is also my second year on the regional council, so I've had a lot of fun meeting other people as well and learning their own passions for the club as well. And this is also going to be my second year attending ISLC. So I'm super excited to just continue my involvement even now as I'm heading off to be a freshman in college. I really love this organization. I think it's taught me so much just about leadership, but also just about care and things like that. So I'm super excited to be here with you all tonight to talk more about.
Okay. Hi, I'm Natalie Hu. I'm another member of this group that organized this event. I'm a junior at Scarsdale High School, which is very close to Daphne. And this is my second year on the RLC. So I actually started as the president of my club at the end of my freshman year, which was very rare. And I kind of helped just get it started again. And we've been through a lot with COVID, obviously, as a lot of people have, but I'm really proud of what we were able to accomplish last year with being able to fundraise. And also we started an annual food drive for people in our area or in our community, just who are struggling, especially last year during COVID as well. So I've had a really fun time, obviously being in the RLC and also leading my club in Scarsdale. And I'm also attending ISLC this summer, and I'm very excited for that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Sinanis. I'm a senior who goes to Eastchester High School, which is also very close to Daphne and Natalie. I got involved with Operation Smile a little bit over a year ago as I was trying to bring it back to bring the club back to my school because it got a lot of problems with it. So through COVID, I did my best to get involved with the organization. This past summer, I attended the ISLC, and then I am now on the Regional Leadership Council. And it has really taught me a lot about the organization and really helped me to strengthen my leadership skills. And it's been one of the best experiences I've had in high school. So I just want to thank you all for coming on to our event, and I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, so Asuka is hopping on in about 20 minutes, but she sent me her introduction so you guys can still get a feel of who she is. Asuka is actually not close to Matt and Natalie and I. She's at the Bronx High School of Science, and she also started her club during COVID. So I think it's cool that we all kind of have that shared experience, but she's also had such a great time educating her peers and her students about Operation Smile and Cleft Conditions. And it's her first year on the council. She's our secretary, and she does a really great job at that as well. So I'm sure she'll come on later and formally introduce herself. But yeah, that's a super.
So now we are going to get into our guest speakers. And the first speaker I would like to introduce is Brigitte Clifford. So just to start a little bit about Bridget, she is the Operation Smile Student Programs Director of Student Initiatives. And she's also the co-founder of Student Programs. And she's going to be talking about the big impact that students can make through getting involved with Operation Smile, their school clubs at these regional councils, international conferences, and just fundraising and awareness as a whole. So I'll pass it over to Bridget.
Hello, everybody. I look dark in the screen. Is it dark? Can you see me? Maybe this is better. I don't know. Let's see if I can get my daughter out of there. Okay. Well, thanks for inviting me. It's awesome to be here. And as Morgan knows, we work every day to get these kinds of things going. So congrats to you guys for taking a Tuesday night away from your busy schedules and being with us. I did notice a few names on the participant panel. So I'm glad that we have some of you with us, including Johnny Cody, who I just spoke to the other night. So he's a newbie too, not newbie in terms of awareness around us, but trying to get a club going at his school. So thanks for joining us, Johnny. So I've had the real pleasure of growing up with Operation Smile. My parents are Bill and Kathy McGee, the founders. And so when I was 13, all of a sudden we were stuffing envelopes around the kitchen table and trying to raise money and awareness for Operation Smile. Operation Smile, I think you guys have probably heard the story, some of you, especially the council kids, but my father and mother were asked to go on a mission trip to the Philippines with another organization called Operation Rainbow back in 1982. And they were going to the Philippines. I'm the oldest of 5 children, and they plucked me from the batch of kids. So my grandparents only had 4 to take care of, and took me all the way through 13 time zones to the Philippines. And I was just pushed into everything that they were doing, helping with the kids. I went into the OR with my father, acted as his scrub nurse, and just really probably didn't know the impact that it was going to have on me for the rest of my life. But when we were in Cebu, we turned away a bunch of kids, and that did not sit well with my mother. And so she came home to Norfolk, Virginia with my father, and they ended up raising some funds and some friends to come with them to go back to take care of those 40 or so children that we left behind. But there were more kids waiting for us than the 40 that we had left behind. And so I always ask students, like, what would you do? You know, what would you do if you knew that you had the talent and you could raise some funds and you had the time to go back to take care of those kids, those now 60 or 80 kids that showed up to hopefully have that very well-deserved surgery? And I think most of us would answer the question that we would do the same thing. I like to really encourage students not to worry if you don't have a huge plan in place for an idea, because there was no plan around Operation Smile. I can tell you that right now. It was more born out of emotion and a reaction to how could they help the children that they left behind. And in no way, shape, or form did they ever dream that they would be here, sitting here, 40 years later in over 40 countries taking care of children with cleft condition. They really just activated from the heart. And I think for young people, that's what you need to do. Please do not get frustrated with some of the restrictions and the parameters that your schools have. I have 4 children now, ages 18 to 25. I've been through that with them. It is very frustrating. But if you have to take it outside of your school and work with this kind of regional council scenario, then take it outside of your school. We have had kids around here in Hampton Roads that have done that out of frustration. And it works out pretty well as long as you find that network of peers to help you out. So please know that if you're leading yourself with your heart, that things will work out, because you're going to put yourself in a position to be with like-minded peers. And those kinds of people always make things happen. The impossible becomes possible. And there's always a bunny trail you can go down to figure something out. Okay, I promise you that. And I know that you have Morgan, who is awesome as a support system. And there's plenty of us within the organization that can provide that support as well. So, that's my first bit of advice. But you know, when I was in the club at my school, it was a new club. I mean, it was the first Operation Smile Club. So, you know, we did really silly things, just so you know. I mean, we did like book drives for a school in the Philippines. We did clothes drives. We did obviously some fundraising around car washes, and just Danny, my friend, who actually is truly the founder of Operation Smile student programs, we called ourselves the Happy Club. So he would do silly stuff like a mix and match day at school, and everybody had to pay $1. And then he would bring prizes that were really kind of dumb from the attic. He would find like an old like record label that was a prize. He would give us like one shoe that he found in his house. He just always made it like super fun to be part of any kind of fundraiser. And obviously we've grown, you know, since then in terms of fundraising and having events and having awareness types of things. But I think anything that you guys conjure up can work, really, as long as you have a group, you know, a few friends around you. And I'm going to share a little bit about some of the things that we've done around here, but let me see if I can share my screen here, because I really do want y'all to look to think big picture as we move forward, because we're getting into some super exciting times. And for those of you who are coming down to ISLC this summer, you're going to learn a lot. And those of you who are headed to college, again, we're really trying to get some programming in place for you guys so that you can truly be part of some really big impactful work. Obviously the pandemic has frustrated all of us, but you know, we all have to find the silver lining, right? And I think the silver lining for Operation Smile was because we weren't going out and out and out all over the place, we had to sit back and kind of assess what we were doing. And was it the smartest way? Was it the most productive? Was it the most cost efficient way? The way that we were doing things? And yeah, some of it was okay, but we were able to build out something even better and get the right people around the table. So, you know, for this launch that we're getting ready to take, or we're kind of starting, because we are celebrating 40 years of Operation Smile, we are going to go about it themed love and leadership. So, you know, it's always good to have a theme, right? So if you are starting to think about projects, maybe as you gear up for the fall in your schools, kind of try to maybe go around some of that love and leadership. Your teachers will love it. I can assure you that. And it'll just maybe give you some ideas in terms of, you know, ways that you can activate your peers. We're taking on we're making a big, bold statement. Over the past 40 years, we've taken care of over 320,000 or so children. So when we say that we're increasing access to quality care for 1 million patients, that does not mean just surgically, because that would be super tough to do, right? If we've only done 320,000 or so in 40 years. But what we really want to do is bring really good quality care to 1 million patients with cleft conditions, but also dealing with their dental needs, their nutritional needs, their speech therapy needs, and their psychosocial needs. Okay, because when we and we've always been this way. For any of you who've been out on missions with us, we've always brought a child life specialist so that the child understands what surgery is going to look like, how are they going to feel, where is mom going to be when they get out of surgery. We really, really are concerned about those kinds of things so that the emotional well-being of the child is secure. You can only imagine, it's actually, really, really hard for us to imagine, but one of these mommies handing a baby over to a foreigner and entrusting that person in their loved one's care, and possibly it being the first time that they've ever come to a hospital, and possibly coming to a hospital like many around the globe that have a casket shop out front. I mean, mind-boggling, right? So initially, in a young mom's mind, and some of these moms are 15, 16, 17 years old, is my baby going to die if I pass my child over? Why are they selling caskets outside of the hospital, right? So they are entrusting us with their child's care, and we take 100% responsibility for that care. But yes, we want to make sure the lip is repaired, the palate is repaired, but we also want to make sure the dental needs are met, that they're healthy in terms of nutrition. What can we teach the mom now that the baby doesn't have a hole in their palate? How do we keep these kids healthy? And then also the speech is so crucial. I don't know if you guys have met children in the US with clef, but there are still some, issues even when you have resources with your speech. And a lot of kids have to go back and forth to get the care that they need in terms of their speech. And these kids don't necessarily have that kind of access. So what can we do better in terms of providing that center of sorts, or that central location where we have people in place when our international teams leave that can take care of that continued care. So that is really, really going to be a big focus for us. So these are other huge initiatives that we're looking, and it's all around these signature initiatives. And I think that, when you guys look to do things, the other big thing, and probably Morgan has shared this with you guys, but we really need to collaborate more with other nonprofits. I mean, if we're going to do bigger and better things, let's work together, right? So if any of these kind of pop up in terms of interest in raising awareness around these topics, like quality education, the issue of poverty, whether there's partnership for these goals, you can also do this in a club setting, right? So for example, around here, our last ditch effort for the school year is going to be around clean water. And we're partnering up with Ways for Water, which is an organization that takes these filters into these low income areas. And their mantra is, it was started by a surfer. If you go online, there's some really cool videos. But his mantra was, you know what, if you're going to be traveling, if you're going to be backpacking, throw a filter in your backpack and provide someone with clean water, because all you need is a bucket and this filter, and you can give a family access to clean water for up to 5 years if it's maintained properly, and for over 100 people. So all of a sudden you've given somebody access. But we also live near the ocean, so we can do education around keeping our waters clean. And that's what some of the kids want to do. We have a surf community here. So we're going to be doing something around that as we finish our school year. And what we have in the office waiting to bundle with these filters that we're going to buy from the proceeds, the kids are going to wear board shorts to school or bathing suits. The boys, not the girls. The girls might wear a cute little hat or something like that. But we're going to give them lays when they donate towards the cause, whether it's $1 or $2, nothing big. The filters cost $35. And we have these big, nice water bottles that we collected during ISLC here last summer. That was an idea of one of the students. And we packed it, we took off all the packaging around toothbrushes and masks and anything where there would be extra trash, because no one was like, why are we sending all this stuff over with packaging around it when they have no means to take care of trash, and they're just going to throw this plastic somewhere. So I'm like, good idea. Why don't you come up with something where we can, you know, put them into something? He's like, well, what about a reusable water bottle, so they're not using plastic water bottles? And I'm like, great idea. So now we're going to be able to bundle the water bottles and everything inside of them with this filter. And then as kids go out on missions, we're going to be able to take those with us. So it just starts the conversation around clean water. Really, really cool projects are happening. Women in Medicine. I'm not sure if you guys heard about that right before we finished, right before the pandemic started. We were in Morocco for the first ever all women's mission. I was lucky enough to be there with my daughter, my mother, and my sister, 3 generations of McGee's, really to honor my mom's big idea around just women being the caretakers on this mission. And I can tell you, it was phenomenal. It was lots of hugs, lots of hugging and crying and dancing. And gosh, though, these women worked really hard. They came from 25 countries, all specialists in their care, and, you know, anesthesiologists, nurses, doctors, plastics, pediatricians. I mean, the whole gamut. It was phenomenal. My brother now has a program of Operation Smile Fellows. My brother Billy is a craniofacial surgeon, like my father, out in LA, definitely leading our medical future. And he has, for the past probably 4 or 5 years, had this training program going on with fellows. These are people that may be in the residency kind of track, and they're taking a pause during their training to do stuff with us, whether it be research or going out and participating in our missions. So that's another big thing going on. We are going to go further now. We're going into the periphery areas of our countries, because Billy would really like to figure out how we can be within 2 hours of care for these children. So we're using a lot of data analytics to find out, where are pockets of these kids with clefts? And that does exist, where in some countries, for whatever reason, there just are more of them in certain regions. So we're trying to find places we can be that are closer to these kids. Now, do these hospital systems need a lot of love? They sure do. And this is where we're thinking you guys can help us. You know, does it need to be like a habitat kind of thing, where we just go out there with a ton of you guys that are strong and energetic, and we build bunkhouses, or we clean up, you know, a clinic, so that it's well deserving for those people who are coming inside. There are tons of things that are uncertain to us right now as we look at helping to build health sustainability in these countries. And then obviously you guys, youth empowerment with the organization. You know, students have always been part of our puzzle, and I really feel like it's kind of the secret sauce. I mean, what surgical organization entrusts people your age to come out with them and work alongside them? We do, because we know that when you see what's happening in front of your eyes, and you're with the people and amongst a culture in this very, very unique way, it cannot not change you. It cannot not impact you to be a better person, to go home and be a better person in your community, and to be able to work with others who are very like-minded on this very, very big global health platform. So these are some very big things that we're working on right now and starting to activate. Here's the Women in Medicine piece. Of course, everyone's wearing purple. And, you know, part of our deal is we're going to be educating women. We really want them to know that they can do this. And in low resource countries, they're not given that kind of confidence. In fact, one of our very, very smart fellows, one of my brother's fellows in South Africa, cannot get a residency spot there because she is a woman. And so Billy's been trying to help her get to the United States. Super smart girl. And she's so passionate about the work that we do. You would want her by your bedside, I promise you. So we're hoping that she can be finally trained in the United States. So we're really, really looking to women in these countries. You know, some of these countries only have 1 or 2 well-trained plastic surgeons that can take care of cleft condition. You do not want someone who is not trained in cleft surgery to operate on a cleft child. They're going to botch it up. And that means that when we might get to them at a different stage of their life, there's not tissue there that we can work with, or maybe they've just, anyway, the revision work is hard. So we want to get to them when they have an open lift, when they're a young person, and with the right surgeon. So we're hoping a lot of women can be trained and come to that stage for us to take care of their kids. We will be popping we just got back from Morocco, very successful mission. Again, with the leadership of Madame Fouzia, who's just a power horse. And then Peru will be in June. We have Malawi popping in September, and then the Philippines, where we started this whole wonderful journey, hopefully in October. So lots of good things happening around, you know, and you guys, especially you young women, do you take time during your club to maybe section off and talk about that, right? What does it take to empower these women and get them educated in these countries? Some of the work that we're starting to do too is aligning with projects like the Dignity Pad project, where it's all about teaching young women around their menstrual cycle. Because oftentimes what happens in these countries is when they have their periods, they just bleed for a week and they don't go to school. There's no way for them to function as a normal person when they're going through their cycle. So how do we educate them around that? How do we provide them with reusable pads with hopefully access to water so they can clean them and dry them out and reuse them, and then they can continue to be in school? I mean, that's part of the dilemma, right, for young girls in these countries. There's so many things that I've done with kids around here. It's kind of nutty, and really I look to the kids to lead these. But dodgeball, if you've never played dodgeball as a fundraiser, it's so much fun. Anybody can play dodgeball. We've had great success around here with that. Battle of the Bands, obviously collection drives for local hospitals. If you are not aligned with a local hospital in your community, try to find that alignment, because typically if you do enough of a search, you're going to find a craniofacial or cleft lip and palate kind of center where you can start a relationship with them. And it is really neat. We have one here with CHKD Craniofacial, and we did a huge drive over this winter months for just fun bags of clinic, just fun. I know we bring the smile bags out on missions with us, but this was kind of a personalized smile bag for the kids right here in Norfolk, Virginia. Talent shows have worked, putt-putt golf. The surf to school thing is what we're doing to raise the awareness around clean water. Anything around nutrition, speech, dental, psychosocial care for that child with cleft condition. I really don't think that we do enough to educate around that. And so anything that you do around these topics can help us really elevate the amount of awareness. Who's ever done a Krispy Kreme donut race? You guys, has any of you heard of the one at North Carolina State that they do? Everybody has to down a dozen donuts and run 5 miles. And they literally set up trash cans around the route because people are puking, because who does that? And who chases donuts with water? If you do that, it becomes even worse, right, in your belly, and you've got to get it out. So we tried that around here with teachers and athletic teams, and we had so much fun. We did a sprint for smiles instead of a 5K race, where everybody had to down 3 donuts and run a lap, and it was like a relay race. And we were able to encourage some of the teachers to get involved with us, and we just had a really good time. Paper, rock, scissors tournament. You don't need anything for that, right? Line everybody up. I had a friend, actually my friend Danny, who started student programs. He walked in the door in a Raleigh bar one night because there was a rock, paper, scissors tournament. And they ended up raising like $75,000 that night, just around rock, paper, scissors. So Not saying that you're going to raise that much money, but you could raise some money around that. We've done Art with Heart around here, where we've asked people to create art around a theme. This year it was Beyond the Smile. And we use the art that we think really resonates with that theme and put them into greeting card bundles, and we sell them for Mother's Day. So, you know, if you wanted to get your art community involved, this might be a good way to do it. We also do this Spread the Love Spirit Week. And I know some of you have really tried to do that now in the US. Bring the love in your school, bring the love in your community, and then obviously talk about Operation Smile to bring the love in your world. There's all sorts of ways that you can activate yourself around that Spread the Love. We do it here the week of Valentine's because it's super easy, right? There's lots of pink and red, and you know, you have everything you would ever need to spread the love with in terms of decorating and candy and all that good stuff. Games are always fun, the Olympic Games. And then, you know, some of you might have parents that do these charity rides and cycle studios, Orange Theory. Listen out for stuff like that, because they will take you in to do stuff like that in the studios. Maybe you bring in your sports team. Maybe you ask them, you know, after their classes are all over, they designate a time and a space and a trainer who will volunteer. I know that they open up their studios for stuff like that here. So, you know, you could always ask your parents if they're doing that kind of fitness. So obviously these ideas are all over the place, but we've just had a ton of fun. Now, I don't want to get too long-winded, but what is coming our way is this global cycle for smiles. And this was conjured up by me after a completely frustrating time in February of 2021, a year ago, because I had kids coming to my house for meetings. The schools weren't letting us meet. And we were just trying to, it was like, I'm sure you guys feel this, right? Like, how many more times can we show an Operation Smile video and talk about, you know, what Operation Smile is doing? Like, we want to do stuff, right? So we came up with this idea, and this was shared to me by a friend, but we found this bike ride, this trail that was 52 miles long. And I said to the kids that I was working with, hey guys, you want to take a long ride and raise some money? And they were all so ready to do something that they all said yes. And I had about 30 of them commit to this ride. And we took 6 weeks to plan it. It didn't take very long. We met every Sunday night and had dinner together. We made, you know, had Operation Smile Bethany help us with templates that we could use to push out to get support from family and friends via email. And we went out on a very, very cold and wet February morning up to Richmond, Virginia. I had tons of parents helping us get the kids up there with bikes in the back of pickup trucks. We had a local bike shop that helped support us. And we took that 52-mile ride, and some of them took a lot longer than others. We did some stops along the way for lunch and sweet breaks and all of that. But at the end of the day, everybody crossed that finish line, and we ended up raising $32,000 for that Sending Hope campaign, where we were raising money for nutrition in Guatemala, Panama, and Nicaragua. So, you know, I think there are things like this. Maybe sometimes we don't think big enough, right? And you're going to have to ask your parents. Ask them to help, because they want to help you. I couldn't believe how many parents raised their hand to help with this. And lots of them wanted to ride with us. We ended up doing it again this February because the older group were like, they have to do it. The younger ones have to do it. So we went out on a 40-mile ride this time, celebrating the 40th anniversary, and raised about $10,000. So anyway, this global cycle was kind of inspired by that. And so what we're doing is we're going to pop 40 rides in 40 regions of our world, where 40 people, so we're not asking for a lot of people, we're just asking for a small team of people that are committed to go the distance with us. And it's an effort so that it can unite us again. I know all of us are really, really tired of this screen time. So it's an effort to bring us together, to unite us as one global family again, because we always talk about that at Operation Smile, how we're this one big global family. But let's bring the joy back to that. Let's bring the fun back to that. We want to engage those who have missed us. So many of my Op Smile friends my age can't wait to get back to doing something. So let's bring them back. And then we want to welcome you guys, this third generation of Op Smilers, to join us and ride along with us. So this is a huge effort. This will start to take place in the fall. And so we're planning right now, we're starting to activate. We have about 40 committed rides as of right now. So everybody's really excited about it. What do we want to do? We want to spread awareness around this for 40 years of taking care of children. We are so proud of our staff that have worked so hard to keep us afloat during this pandemic, because it's taken a lot of work and a lot of patience, because we do want to be back together, but we keep being held up and held up and held up. But people are working really, really hard and they're committed. So we want to talk about the 40 years of taking care of children, but we also want to educate around cleft lip and cleft palate. We, I feel, do not do a good enough job of educating, especially around cleft lip and palate in the United States. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But we also, again, you guys, this next generation is so important to us. You guys are smarter than we are. You know how to use digital and technology so much better than we do. And you have so much more access. I mean, the TikToks and the tweeting and the influencers. And I mean, my daughter like makes my head spin. And she looks at me like I'm like dumb sometimes. Like, God, why can't you keep up with me? And I'm like, I don't really want to keep up with you. You can just tell me what's going on out there. But you guys are going to be able to connect us a lot better than we ever could. Education around cleft lip and palate. I started this platform in the fall, and it's called Cleft Connect Chat. And again, this was the think tank of a lot of people. Our student program staff, Bethany was awesome around just trying to create, like, what could we create that would be really, really impactful for kids, teens with clefts. I had the blessed opportunity when I was in my young teens to go on rounds with my father to the hospital. And I always loved going into the patients' rooms with him and sitting on the bed and listening to him talk to the moms and dads and the children. And he was always just so patient and gracious and understanding. And I know that's partly why I went into psychology in college, just because I love the psychosocial piece of the child in the hospital. But I've always wanted to connect these guys, because more often than not, when I talk to them, upon first meeting them, they've never met another child with a cleft that's their age. Yeah, they've been in clinics before at their hospitals and stuff like that, but they've never really connected on a more mature level, because once you get to this stage of your life, 12, 13, 14, 15, your surgeries are not as close together. And when you go into surgery, it's pretty major. I mean, these kids are having bone grafts. They're getting their jaws are shifting. They're having to have their mouths wired shut for weeks at a time for things to heal. They're very swollen, and they're missing out on a normal childhood. And so this platform gives us a chance to connect virtually every third Sunday. In fact, we have one coming up this Sunday. And it's just a really awesome group of kids. We're small right now. We probably have 15 to 20 on any given time. But the teens that have met each other really enjoy each other. And in fact, a lot of them are trying to make their way down to University of Miami this summer, because they want to meet each other in person. But I will tell you, and you can learn from them, hopefully, if you're at ISLC this summer, but there's a lot of grit behind that scar. Most of these kids, when they go after something, they go after it like 1,000%. And they're witty, they're smart. You just have to engage them, just like a normal peer. And you're going to find out a lot about them and really learn to love them. But I have had the pleasure of connecting with this special group of people. And it's teaching me so much about the fact that we don't educate enough in the US about cleft lip and palate. We have tons of people in the US that have this condition, And though they are taken care of very early in life, and though they do have resources, they do struggle. And so we need to create a world that's more empathetic around them. And it's really you students with Operation Smile that we need to do that with. I don't think this TikTok is going to play. Oh, maybe it will.
Laura.
Hold on. Can you hear that?
This is Laura, and
No, maybe not.
this is Laura, and this is Monica. She is 17 years old, and she is 40. Yeah, that's right. Laura is from Panama, and Monica is from Colombia. And we met through Clef Connect. This is a new Operation Smile program. This is a Clef Connect chat where friends with Clef can gather, and it is our safe space. Hey, you're not alone. And if you want to join us, just jump off for the next chat. So come on, join us. We're here for you. This is Laura, and this is
Okay.
Monica.
So
She
these
is
are just,
17 years old.
Monica was one of our speakers, and I do ask that you follow her on Instagram. Monica is a fashion designer in South America, and she has created all of this cleft art. And that's her main focus. And she's doing it because she too wants to bring more awareness around cleft. She's an ambassador for us for Operation Smile Colombia. She even has, look at her bike. It's so cool. It's got cleft art on it. And you're going to see when you follow her on Instagram, all the cool things she's doing. She just opened an Airbnb in Colombia so that when people go and stay at her Airbnb, they can learn about cleft lip and palate conditions. So this platform is very, very special. And I think with the bike, the cycling that we're going to do, we can help elevate the awareness for cleft lip and palate. And we're going to talk more about that to you guys this summer. But so far, these are all the areas that are going to be taking rides for us, and everyone's going to do it a little bit differently. We have a Colorado ride where Aspen's going to connect to Boulder. Atlanta and University of Georgia are talking about ways that they can synchronize with each other. So, you know, and then we have all these universities that are going to take rides, probably mostly with stationary bikes. And the studios are starting to agree to take these bikes outside to rooftops, to parking lots, so that they can hopefully have people walking past them and learning more about Operation Smile. So this effort is really to you know, spread the word about Operation Smile and to be doing something in a very, very big and bold way. So I'm going to finish here, but this is how I look at you guys. I mean, we have a lot of work to do. And if you have any of these characteristics, if you like to explore, if you like to innovate, take a few risks here and there, you like to travel the globe, we'll take the troublemakers as long as you guys don't make too many mistakes. We like the good troublemakers. But we also like those of you who want to be intentional with what you're doing and have purpose behind what you do, because we're going to go places where no one's gone. And we're going to need that very young and energetic group behind us when we go do this. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Again, it's always an honor to be able to talk to young people. And please open your minds to anything, because anything is really possible when it comes to doing work with us. So thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. That was very helpful. I'm sure everyone on the call really learned a lot. That was very insightful. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
So now I just want to introduce our next guest speaker. So our next speaker we're going to have is Noor Bashidi. And Noor is an Operation Smile speech language pathologist volunteer from Seattle. And she's going to be talking about Operation Smile patient support. So I guess now I'll just pass it over to Noor.
Thank you, Matt. I'd like first to thank you for the invitation. And I would like also to share my journey with Operation Smile. So I started with Operation Smile about 18 years ago, this spring. And I've played many roles in the organization. I grew with the organization on a personal and professional level. So when I started, I was a graduate student at the University of Jordan, and I saw this ad in the newspaper when people still read newspapers, that they wanted someone with a speech therapy background to help them on a mission. And I had no idea what a mission was. So I said, yeah, that might be exciting. I should go and try to do this. So I contacted them, and they were like very welcoming and very nice. And they said, yeah, you can join. Although I had no idea what I needed to do, honestly. So I went on the mission, and there was a speech therapist from the United States. I still remember her, Robin Harwell. And I had no idea, like I was a speech pathologist, still in training, but I had never seen a cleft palate patient before, because at the university clinic, we're not exposed to certain types of patients. So Robin was very nice, and she was asking me questions, and obviously I had no idea what the answers were. And then it hit me, like, maybe there's more to what we do as speech therapists. Maybe we can like help more people in different ways. So I started volunteering with the organization as a trainee, and then I was accredited, and I started joining missions on my own without supervision. And my journey just grew from there. It was an inspiration because I decided to pursue my like higher education because of Operation Smile, because I was so much in love with cleft palate and the teamwork that I saw during the missions. It was amazing. So I just wanted to do more. So I decided to do that. I got my scholarship and I went to the United States. I did my PhD at the University of Florida. And I was still working with the organization during my PhD years, although it was really difficult to find the time to go on missions and do all of these things, amazing things for the program. But I wanted to stay and just do more good. It made me feel good for some reason. I feel they gave to me more than I gave to them, although like I've been there for a long time. So after I finished my studies, I decided to go back to Jordan because I wanted to create something there. And during these years, I had the idea of creating like a local clinic for speech services for cleft palate patients specifically. And it was with the help of Operation Smile International and the Operation Smile Jordan office as well. And from there, I was just like building on like my expertise and trying to help in different ways. I have a few slides, if you don't mind, that I would like to show. It would help me like show exactly what we do on the mission as speech therapists. I don't know, can you see my screen? Can you please confirm that you see the screen so I can?
Yeah, we can see
the screen.
It's because it's stuck for me for some reason. Let me do it again. Okay. It's not showing me any options to share my PowerPoint. I don't know why this is happening. Okay, again, one more. Okay, so as a speech therapist or speech pathologist on the mission, we have multiple roles. So we start usually on the mission with the screening day. And during the screening day, we get like acquainted, and we see most of the patients that we will actually operate on during the mission. So we have specialty stations. Each specialty would go into a room that is allocated for them. and they would start seeing patients afterwards. For like a long time, speech pathology was a solo team. So I was always like on my own. I had no team. I had the room for myself, and I was seeing all of these patients and trying to keep up with the like larger numbers. So a few years back, we started engaging more than one speech therapist on the same mission. And we started to create like a training program through that I will be coming on next. We always follow our Operation Smile protocol. So we have these files, each patient has a file, and we need to like put all the information and like the evaluation for each patient. And this goes in a very like organized manner. And once we get the child, we evaluate the child, and they move on to the next station. What do we do as SLPs on the missions? We do so many things, although we're usually the last station, but we have so many roles that we do. So the most important thing that we do is counseling the parents, because we spend more time with the parents as part of the mission protocol. So we talk to them, we try to explain why this problem happened. They would have usually so many questions about whether their children are going to be normal, are they going to speak like everybody else, are they going to grow and be able to feed like other normal children. So we play a big role in the counseling part during the mission. We also try to allocate some time to work with the new mothers, like to try and learn how to feed their babies, because these children, they have this structural defect, and it prevents them from doing normal things such as just normal feeding from a bottle. So we teach them how to position the baby. We teach them some tricks of modification techniques that they can do with the bottles and the nipples, and how to maximize the feeding process in order for the baby to gain weight and be able to go into the surgery afterwards. We also do some speech therapy on the mission, especially during the surgery days, because during the surgery days, what we do is the counseling. We see the mothers, and we talk to them about what they need to do after the surgery. But for certain locations where speech therapy is not available for everyone, we do speech therapy sessions during these surgery days. So we get the room, no matter how simple, and we see these kids that we identify during the screening day. And we do simple training techniques with them while the mother or the parents are there. So we're teaching the mothers as well on how to deal with the child, and how to help enhance better speech and better communication. This is just like a brief part of what we do. And the new and enhanced part that we started doing on the missions is to assess the velopharyngeal function. So what we do is not just, okay, we talk about this patient's speech. We say what they need, whether they need the therapy now, the speech therapy, or should we refer them to the surgery first. And one part that is usually like more complicated is to see which surgery is better for each specific patient. So this is what velopharyngeal dysfunction assessment means. I won't go into the details of the medical aspect of it, but it's very important to decide on which type of surgery needed for these for specific kids, and in order to have better results in speech and in communication. On the mission and off mission, you get the chance with Operation Smile to work with multiple teams. Like, I've learned so many things just being on missions, not thinking about the formal education that I got through my university years, or the training that I got, whether in Jordan or in the United States. You learn so much from their personal experiences. Like, these people have been doing this for a very long time, for years, like surgeons that have been doing surgeries for a very long time, specifically on cleft palate patients. So each one of them develops some certain specific personal techniques, and even some protocols sometimes. So you learn a lot with working with multiple teams and being exposed to so many professionals from all over the world. This has been always a plus with Operation Smile. It's not just like an opportunity for you to volunteer and feel good and do some good in the world. You can also learn even if you're not there for the purpose of like getting an education. So that was always a plus with Operation Smile. After a few years with Operation Smile, I decided to walk the extra mile. I thought, okay, like we're trying to help all of these kids all over the world, like in places where we do the mission sites, but I thought that we could do more. And of course, that was inspired by the organization's vision that we need to provide holistic care and sustainability for that care. So if we're doing sustainability, then we need to focus on each of these sites and try to empower the people who are on the ground, like the local people who are either volunteering with the organization or work in governmental institutions, for example. So I started volunteering in local OS centers, along with other speech therapists, of course. And we tried to build on these centers. So at the beginning, we used to get a few patients that know about the services we provide. And then we went like bigger and we advertised and we created like a fixed location where we see the patients on a daily basis, like 5 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. At the beginning, we did that through volunteer work. So we had all of these volunteer speech pathologists that we trained. And like recently, we've decided to move on and hire one speech therapist that is always there, just to make sure that all the patients are getting all the services they need, no matter how changes comes in the number of volunteers or who is going to give that specific service for that specific child. So we wanted to make sure that all children are getting all of the services they need, not just the services that they get medically through the mission. And also after that, we always work with them to like teach them how to speak in a better way, because with the structural condition they have, they develop these compensatory strategies that prevents them from pronouncing the sounds correctly, using the correct intonation in their speech, and many more problems. So that was the next goal, is to empower local forces and to empower all of these professionals that will continue to see the patient after the mission is over. That was a big goal with Operation Smile as well. After that, we started doing training programs in Jordan and Morocco. And because these places have the center for Operation Smile, regional centers, and we started doing more specific focused trainings in order to have more people get more benefit out of the Operation Smile services, whether during the mission or after the mission. We also held workshops and counseling sessions for parents, where we have like a plastic surgeon, a pediatric dentist, a speech therapist, and we answered all of their questions. And we also try to empower them to influence other parents as well, because there are always like, I don't know if you're aware of that, but in third world countries specifically, there's a lot of gossip that goes around. So people might not know that this place can offer you really good options for your child. So we empowered the parents as well. They created their own group on social media, and it's been great since then. They're helping each other, even in places where there are no resources. For example, they cannot get the modified bottle for the child. They went on their own and they took the initiative, and they bought regular bottles, and they tried all of these types of regular bottles and modified them themselves and provided them for the new mothers. So it went beyond just going on a mission and trying to do your part to do good in the world. It went beyond that, like empowering people, empowering parents was a very good step that Operation Smile always took. We did also workshops for nurses, because usually they are the ones who are encountered with the new babies who are born with this condition. And to be honest, it's not like everybody can deal with this type of condition, even people in the medical field. So we targeted nurses for specifically because they are the ones who will provide the first counseling and the first service, the feeding service for the child when it's born in, on a hospital setting. We did multiple types of training, nasal-endoscopic training to do that evaluation for the velopharyngeal port and choosing the right type of surgery. We also did auditory training. We trained the professionals to know what to listen for. That helped in cutting the time that we need with each patient on the mission, because with speech therapy, usually we were the last station, and we have to sit with each patient at least 10 minutes, and there are like hundreds of people that we need to see. So when we did this auditory training, we cut the time that we need with each of these patients by half at least. So that improved the productivity of our station during the mission. We also extended the services we provide for the Operation Smile patients beyond the mission. Sometimes we cannot do all of the required instrumental assessment needed to make the best decision for the patient. So what we did was to extend these services beyond the mission. We identify certain patients that need more instrumental intervention or assessment, and we work with them after the mission. It doesn't always necessarily mean that we increase the money that we need to spend. We collaborated with local agencies as well in order to do all of these tests, either for free or for a very small amount of money that we didn't need to even burden the organization as well, or the burden the parents if the child really needed that type of particular assessment. So the scope of missions recently have changed. In the past few years, we were more aware about the shift from providing services into the focus of more developing educational programs to ensure evidence-based practice is taking place, and to empower the infrastructure and the local people who are going to be seeing these patients after the mission is done. So I'm a leader on the SLP Council of Operation Smile, and what we're doing now is that we're trying to design structured training protocols for speech therapists in different types of the world. And this is particularly for, like I said, because Operation Smile is a leading organization and towards this new era where we don't just do and go and do missions on site. We also empower the local infrastructure in order to make more or provide more benefit for the patient, and in order to keep providing, or the sustainability of providing these services throughout the year, not just when the mission is there. And also beyond the mission and beyond the medical provision of services and beyond all of that, Operation Smile was a great opportunity for me to it opened my horizons. I met new people from different cultures that I was never exposed to before. I made so many friends around the world, and actually two of my best friends now, I met them during either Operation Smile missions or events. So Operation Smile helped me grow both on a personal and a professional level, and it gave me a purpose and a cause to serve. And that was the huge, biggest impact on my life as a professional and as a person as well. And I don't know, I've never been involved in creating student clubs, but I tell you, when you come into this, it's not just an activity that you'll be doing. You'll find a way, and they'll find a way to help you grow in so many ways. And I think that's why it's been a successful organization throughout the years. And this is why it's a great resource for students, professionals, and even people, regular people who come to get these services. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, Nora. That was very insightful and very helpful. I really appreciate you coming on. It was very, very helpful to hear. Alrighty, so I'm just going to now introduce our final speakers of the night. And our last speaker is going to be Mark Trentalodge. And Mark is one of Operation Smile's longtime anesthesiologist volunteers who lives and works in the Bronx. And now him and his wife, Edith Malapad, will present jointly about their experience supporting Operation Smile and providing care for their patients over the years. So now I will pass the floor to Mark and Edith.
Let's do that. Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Wait just a second, sorry. We're having some technical problems here.
Can you hear us?
Yes, there you go.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so
So
now you can do that.
the other two speakers were very good. It's hard to follow those acts. I'm Mark Trentalodge. As said, we're both anesthesiologists. This is my wife, Edith. And we have you beat about the Nora, because we met on Operation Smile and we're married.
You met your friends in Operation Smile. I met a husband.
I first became involved with Operation Smile in the 90s. I was in the Navy in Norfolk, and one of the nurses came back from one of the missions. I guess this was maybe about 8 or 9 years after it started. I became interested. I went down to when they had the smaller office down near the dock there, and met Bill and Kathy McGee. Been over to your house, Bridget, and became hooked. Going on the missions is a real experience, life-changing experience. I hope you all get the chance to, but even if you don't, you have to know that you're doing fantastic work, that you're enabling people to do the work that needs to be done. I think the second trip that I went to, I first went to China, and then the second trip I went to the Philippines, and we happened to meet very briefly that year. But the next year when I came back, Edith was one of the local physicians that also participated in the mission.
Okay, so I'm Edith Malapad. I'm from the Philippines, and I was actually part of the first Operation Smile. Well, like Bridget said, it was Operation Rainbow. But for some reason, what I remember is that aside from Cebu, I believe they have one in Manila, and it's in a small hospital called St. Martin de Porres. And that is the people that were assigned there were Dr. Benjamin Rigor and Nicodemus, and there's a nurse anesthetist. I forgot his name, but anyway, so that is how we started with. That's how I started with Operation Smile. Thereafter, we were always sent by our chairman to all the sites every year, every February for that matter. And then, like I said, I met my husband, and so there you go.
I guess we can start showing some slides, but I think I don't know if our time is a little bit short. I know it's been a long program, but what I would like to say that I know this is all about, if I'm not mistaken, all about leadership as well, and Bridget, what I noticed about your parents is, you talk about maybe, lack of planning and organization, but, they really do have planning and organization, but more than that, and I think the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, is that you have vision. And I think that's the best quality of a leader. Bill McGee always, tells the story of why they do the name game. And it has to do with everyone learning the team members' names very quickly, and being able to form a team and have some cohesion in a very under very stressful circumstances. It has to be done very quickly. They we had the foresight to involve younger people very early on in high schools and colleges, and I think to get them used to the idea of charity, of being altruism, of having some dedication to something bigger than yourself. And so, there are so many things like that. The involvement with many different countries.
And it's a cultural experience, actually, because it's actually fascinating that the kids are, the ambassadors are brought in, and the kids actually learn about the country where they came from firsthand, and that they realize at a younger age that there's really so many things that holds you all together despite the distance. And like Bridget said, you will go to places that nobody has been to, because this is where they need the help the most. So Mike is going to show you some of the pictures, actually, in some of the missions that we've been to, and it's makeshift anesthesia machines and all of that. It's not because but the care is still the same despite all the monitors that you have here. It's all advanced and all that, but it's still the same service that you give. It's just that the setting is different. Okay, here we go with this.
Bill and Kathy, I'll flip through a lot of these because I know the hour is late. I had some pictures. This is some of the missions that we've been on in Africa, Asia, and South America. Bridget, you've probably been on a lot more than I have. And Edith mostly in the Philippines, as we said, but from very early on. Picture of us in younger days. I just wanted to point out that because the anatomy of the lip and palate are so complicated. I mean, it's not really, for those of you who haven't seen surgery before, it's not really just a matter of sewing them together. It also has to function well. It has to be very precise, and each part affects the look and the function of the other part. So it really takes an artist of a surgeon to do this. Cleft lips come in different varieties. A is what's called a unilateral cleft lip, incomplete, and the complete is B, and then you can see it can be bilateral. So some of these can be quite challenging and involve more disciplines than the surgeon, as repeatedly been pointed out. This is the cleft palate, which can also have various degrees of severity. So they have associated problems from a number of different disciplines. They said dental, we didn't talk about that, but they also have hearing difficulties from repeated infections, speech, as we know, feeding, skeletal problems. They also have associated other medical conditions. And that's very important because we try to do this, and the emphasis has always been on safety. As anesthesiologists, we're particularly concerned about that, and we usually hopefully have the last word on that in any mission. Go ahead. So we have this constellation of professionals that have to work together, with, maybe coming from different cultures and may not speak the language, and have to work together in a cohesive team. The mission itself usually starts with the excitement of being assigned. You get matched now on an app, which is very good. In general, the mission expenses are largely paid for with Operation Smile, but they usually require about a $500 mission fee, a donation, which can be raised or donated, or you can pay yourself. And then the local chapters assume the in-country expenses. And there's a lot that goes on to it. The arranging of the logistics, the selection of a hospital, getting the buy-in of local people, which is critical because I've seen other medical, missions from other organizations. And if you don't have buy-in and you don't have organization and these logistics, all your good intentions are wasted. In general, like I said, a lot of the fun is meeting local people, interacting, food. You have to be sensitive. You usually arrive at an international hub where you start meeting your team members. You then arrive at maybe a site that you'll be taking a local flight in country. It's generally not the bigger cities that we go to. It's maybe generally someplace that you might not have thought of, a smaller city. But they try to get a goodly sized hospital that has facilities, and they try to get a good working hotel. And I've seen everything from the lowest, most basic sorts of accommodations to 5-star hotels. But usually it's a good working hotel. It's usually near the hospital because the physicians and others have to be on call. The physicians and nurses have to be on call and be ready to respond to any kind of an emergency. The surgical scheduling can vary, but generally there's a 2 or 3 days of screening. And in that time, we also set up the operating rooms and determine the flow of the work. And then we do a surgical schedule generally from Monday through Friday. And typically they're long hours, but we try not to kill people because people can get sick and, they've just traveled, there's jet lag, there's people have medical problems. And so you really have to watch the health of the team members as well. And we encourage, I know a lot of times we get to the site and we encourage the participation and interest of the student, the volunteers, everyone on the team, speech therapy, the child life, people, and generally the teenagers, the younger people who are traveling, who are fortunate enough to attend the mission. We do like to have them in the operating room and see what it's all about. So this was just a few of my, how I spent my summer vacation. This is one of my first missions in China. I'll just flip through these because we don't have a lot of time. But generally, there's a screening area where the vital signs are taken, their pictures are taken. This was a western part of China that was a mixture of Uyghur and other. So there is an Islamic part of China as well. And, people are more conservative there. And so we conduct ourselves accordingly. I want to just show a few of these. I can flip through, but I want to make the point is that we don't do just children. I've had people, people up to 65 years of age, but generally we try to get them, the younger, the better the results. But some people have been walking around their whole lives without, access to medical care. And here's a before and after shot. I know, you've probably seen a million of these, but I just have a few to show you. As I said, participation, people are eager to teach and eager to have you see what's going on. Not everybody here is a doctor or nurse. People are allowed to watch the surgeries. Sometimes a little bit hard. It might be in their mouth or something like that. This was that young man that we saw before, and when that heals, that's going to look very good.
Actually, part of the Operation Smile is that when the team goes and perform this, they usually give a spontaneous lesson to the local physicians as well, because they bring in the new techniques on how they repair things. And so that becomes an exchange. And the other thing with Operation Smile is that they usually they move from one site to another, but then what happens every time, like, it is actually a very addicting experience. So what happens is that once you get linked with them, or once you work with them, I'm talking about yeah, you will be back, I swear to you. You may not be on the same site, but you will go to the next site, and then it just happens that way. Because put it this way, as you saw the before picture and then the after, there's nothing. It's so humbling that you were able to be part of that. That it's just
that will
something.
make you
Yeah, and then it gives you that. I don't know. I can explain it, but that's the reason why you keep going back.
It's not all.
It's not
all work. There's
yeah.
also hijinks that happen. I just want to tell you. So we sometimes we're taken by the locals to a local site of interest, and that can be just a local point of interest to Luxor. We were taken to Luxor in Egypt, so it can be very spectacular. It's where they take you. We were taken on this trip to a monastery in China with the yellow hat monks. I just wanted to point this out because I thought it was so interesting that this picture that I took was, I saw in National Geographic the month I got back. So it's a very interesting places, and not some place you might not think of traveling to. This was another city in China. The group is assembling, kind of getting to know each other. As I said, they're the teenagers, the ones with the ambassadors are there with their posters. There's a number of other people. Some are from Russia, and others from other parts of the United States. And they're entertaining the children to try to keep the level of tension down, because they have to go through screening and then some blood drawing, and you see the kids are not happy about that. But as I said, a little bit of distraction and entertainment, help move things along. Our setups are very basic. I don't have to get into technical stuff, but you can see this isn't what you would normally do in the United States, but you have to be flexible, and that's part of something that I think is called on with every team member. We put the children to sleep. We put in intravenous lines and a breathing tube, and let the surgeons do their work. We generally can do up to 3 to 5 tables in a room, so several operations can be going on at the same time. And we try to keep all the hubbub down, because some kids might be waking up, others might be going to sleep, and you have to have a little bit of organization to this. As I said, some equipment is not available, like gurneys, so sometimes we have to carry them physically to the recovery room. And we have specialists to try to make this as safe as possible. And I think that's where I'll end it here, because I think we may be out of time. We'll leave time for question and answers.
Yeah, thank you again, Mark and Edith. That was very, very helpful and very, very interesting to see from that point of view. I just want to thank all 4 of our speakers again for coming out. We were extremely honored to be able to have you guys come tonight, and we really appreciate you guys coming on. So
thank
now,
you.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you guys. Now we're just going to move on to a little Q&A. So I will pass it over to Natalie.
Yeah. By any chance, could you guys stop sharing your screen?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Share. How do we, where is it?
Stop share. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, so now we're in our Q&A portion. So if anybody has any questions, please send me your questions in the chat. Yeah, I'll wait for a few seconds. And also, if it's directed to anybody, any of our speakers in specific, just add that in the chat as well. Okay, well, I can start off with my own question. So I just have a question for all the speakers in general. What is one thing that Operation Smile, like through all of your years, has taught you, or like that one thing that you think has really taught you about the world in general and like the people in the world?
Can I say, oh, well, me being from the Philippines and meeting everybody from Operation Smile, one thing I learned is that we are all, the thing that gets us together is trying to help each other. That's what Operation Smile actually sort of, oh, why am I crying? Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just emotional about Operation Smile, only because, like I said, you see kids with a cleft lip, and in 30 minutes, the lip is it's closed. Do you know how grateful the parents are? They are forever indebted to every person who made it possible for their kids to have that lip like closed. I promise you, it's just, if not for the kids, for the parents, it's an instant gratification for them, because the kids they are self-conscious about it. They have inferiority complex about it. And in some countries, they are really made fun of. The reason why you don't see it a lot here in the United States is because they get repaired when they are born. In my country, they need money to have it repaired. And if not for Operation Smile, I swear to you, they looked like they are the normal people whenever we do screening. There's a lot of them. The mainstream people actually gets outnumbered during screening. And I'm not kidding. And they get, we can only do so much during the mission. And so, I don't know. Anyway, so that is actually what I'm trying to say.
I'd like to add something. With Operation Smile, they always try to highlight the similarities between people rather than the differences. Like if you look at all of these cultures that Operation Smile serves,
Sure,
through missions or through other programs, this was something that was, I felt that Operation Smile educated me on. Because coming from a country, I never traveled actually before. I traveled to pursue my studies, but that helped me. Like going to all of these places, seeing all of these people, we are the same. We're more the same than we are different. We have the same needs. We have the same hopes. We have the same dreams. So this was one thing that, yes, Operation Smile had a big impact on, like changing my mentality on how I see the world.
Yeah, and I think for me, when you go on the missions, you're just surrounded by good people. And I don't really turn the TV on too much because there's a lot of hate out there. And just in having this upbringing that I've had, I just don't see that. Like you're placed in an environment where everybody's looking after that child and you're doing it together. And so I think it brings out the best in people, which I would highly recommend that you just find places to give back, because you're always going to find good people in that environment, and you're going to find the best of that person in that environment. And I think that Operation Smile just brings the best out of people, because we're all there for that child. Nobody's getting paid. All of these people are coming as volunteers, taking time away from their families and their work. My son, who was able to go on his mission trip to Malawi, said that one of his most favorite times during the day was at night, sitting at dinner with people, because he was with 25 different countries of people. And so he had a chance to like move tables every night and meet all these people from different countries. And I think, you know, I resonate with what Edith says, because it's just, you're never going to find yourself in such a positive environment. I mean, I tell parents, like, if there's any place you want your kid to be, it's on a medical mission with Operation Smile. Yes. Because there are no boundaries. Everybody's there doing the impossible work, no matter the situation. If the water cuts off, if the electricity cuts off, everybody figures out how to get around that so that we can take care of as many children. So it's just a very good place to be in.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there was one time actually when we have to do a surgery under flashlights because of a temporary brownout in one of the sites.
I learned a little bit of humility. I mean, I'm always amazed, you know, United States, we can throw technology and money at things, but they do 90% of what we can do with 5% of the resources.
Yes.
And that's always very humbling to be among the kind of people who can do that.
Okay, thank you so much. I have two more questions, if that's okay. I know it's like a little bit later, but the first one is, what is the most memorable experience you have all had with Operation Smile?
Meeting my husband. No. Actually, there was one incident. So in my first mission, we went out to dinner with the team, and I graduated in 1986. Okay, and so it was, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but it was the peak of the Middle East war. I had dinner between an Israeli surgeon and a Middle Eastern surgeon. It was Egyptian, I believe, and but the thing though is that we were all having fun. They were not even talking about the Middle East war. We were laughing and they were drinking. And it's kind of fascinating. That actually, I can't forget that. So aside from meeting my husband.
Was I charming too? It's hard to know what the best one was. There've been so many good experiences, you know. I suppose, like, you know, some of the trips we've seen, like I said, Luxor and places in China that, you know, I've been to in India. I mean, just you know, you're just having a good time even when you're not having a good time. I think it's just something new that you've never seen or experienced before. So no, that's it for me.
I don't know, there are so many memories, like you can't pinpoint only one highlight, like the whole experience. I don't know, maybe I can think of something recent. A couple of years ago, before COVID, I was in Egypt for a mission and like an educational program. And one of the moms just came up to me, like you meet hundreds of people everywhere. You can't possibly remember everybody. And this lady came up to me and she said, look at this child. I think he was 4 years old. He's alive because of you. And I said, excuse me, what? Like, what do you mean? Apparently, like when this child was born and I was on a mission back then, and this child could never feed, not with modification techniques, not with anything. So I don't remember much, but apparently I spent 4 days with her during the mission, teaching her and trying to help the child to be able to feed and get the milk that they need and everything. And it's like it's touching because like you do these things and you don't think of them, like you don't put them, like pin them here in your mind that, oh, I need to remember I did this thing. And she just came up to me and she was like, oh, thank you so much. And that made me very happy, actually. Like that was one of the moments that I felt, yeah, we are making a difference. We're not just helping, we're making a difference.
Yes.
I think one of my memories, and yeah, there are so many, but I was in Nicaragua with my daughter, who was 10 at the time, and happened to also be on the mission with my father, which is always very special. And we were in the post-op area with one of the kids who was 14. And because my father is he's always trying to find ways to get to know the patients. And we sat at the bedside of this girl, and we learned the story of how she was one of 3 daughters. And because of her clef, the father just always abused her, whether it was verbally or sometimes physically. And literally the straw that broke the mom's back in terms of literally escaping in the middle of the night with her daughter with clef was he went after her with a machete one night, and not in an attempt to kill her, but just to hurt her, because for some reason he was getting satisfaction out of having her there. It was very bizarre. And this mother just decided, on a whim, like, I've got to get this girl out of here because, number one, she doesn't deserve this kind of treatment, but he may kill her someday. She snuck out in the middle of the night with all 3 of her daughters, actually, and went to her brother's about 2 hours away. And this is walking, and found, an area to hide out in. And then nobody had ever told her about Operation Smile, but the father did know about Operation Smile and had never shared that with her. So her brother said, why haven't you taken this girl to go see Operation Smile? So she took it on her own, not knowing if this man was following them. I just remember, like, we were all in tears listening to the story, but the fact that the mother had that much courage to leave with her child, not knowing if this deranged man was going to kill all of them if he ever found them. And then I thought about, well, where is she going when she returns? Like, she surely can't go back, right?
Yeah.
So you are very humbled by these parents who love their kids just like your parents love you. I mean, it's a deep, deep love, and they're willing to go to the ends of the earth to get their children cared for. And we had to really counsel this girl because she had been so abused that sometimes she didn't want anyone touching her. She really fought going back to surgery because she was just so scared. And I really tribute the child life specialist on that mission for talking her down to a calm place where we finally could take care of her cleft lip. So, if you do get out with us, try to spend time getting to know these people beyond the lip, the scar, because there's always a story. And you will find so much courage in these people and getting them to us.
Okay, thank you so much. One more question. This one is from a club leader, actually, who said that we just started our Operation Smile Club at my school a few months ago, and we're kind of having a hard time improving engagement with the rest of the student body. We had a few fundraisers that were really successful, but not a lot of people show up to our weekly meetings. Any tips?
One of my tips would be, don't give up, first of all. I mean, if you have a small turnout, that's okay, because if the turnout are people that are going to do things, sometimes that's even better than a big group where only 5 of the people actually do the work. So you might have a real gift in front of you. So cultivate those people that are showing up to meetings. And the second thing is I know that some of the groups start to align with other clubs in their school. So there might be a club that makes sense for you to partner up with maybe another smaller club where you can work together on some things. I know like at Georgetown University, when there was a club there, they aligned with the Latin American Association, because that just makes sense for what they were trying to do at the time. So I think sometimes collaboration is good, but don't give up on the small group. Stay steady, continue to reach out to us for support. And also don't be afraid to join in on those regional activities. If you guys, some of you seem like you might be close enough to do regional types of gatherings and events as that comes back to a normal space. It is fun to be with other schools and other students. And I think that when your school realizes that this just, that this is so much bigger than just what's happening at your school, then you'll start to get some traction. I will say going to an ISLC really does lend to some credibility, but bring a friend with you so that you can come back with a lot of energy, because typically you leave with so much energy and you want to be able to bounce that energy off of someone else when you get back to your school. And you obviously have your regional leaders here to help you. So, you know, just don't close shop, because what you're doing is good. You're going to have opportunities that others won't have because of your, you know, of your commitment to the club.
My daughter, when she was in high school, she did this fundraising for Operation Smile, and she titled it One Smile at a Time. And she used the, what do you call that? You walk in there and then you take the photo, there you go, a photo booth. And so they were charging, I think, like $20 for the 3 sets of shots. So that is actually another idea for you guys to do. I don't know, it worked.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit on that too. I wasn't able to introduce myself earlier, but I'm a member of Northern RLC. I am the founder and president of the Operation Smile Club at Bronx Science here in New York City. But so I started my club during COVID, so I had a lot of like similar struggles that you're bringing up here. I think one of the really helpful notions that was brought up earlier by one of our speakers is that just like working with a greater organization, that's what really got me off the start. So for example, like working with student government to try to plan some of their fundraisers along with them. So you can also donate some of those funds to Operation Smile and try to figure out that, and just getting more exposure that way within your school. So that's really, really helpful. I remember when I first started, I started off with another cultural club at our school. Even though like it seems completely unrelated, it's really easy for you guys to find some sort of like common ground and just to get more members and get more exposure to get yourself off the ground. Like that's super helpful. So yeah, and also just like reach out to your like region associate, which is also on the Operation Smile website. So that was also really, really helpful for me to reach out to Morgan if you're in the Northeast. So yeah.
Also, your National Honor Society is another good group to align with, because I know that they need, you know, I know around here there's a point system for service hours. And so there might be, you know, an honor society that needs an activity, and you guys could bring that activity to them. And then that way you get more awareness around who you are. So yeah, look within for sure to see if there's anything that makes sense.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for coming, and also thank you for answering all these questions. I'm gonna hand it over to Asuka to wrap it up.
Yeah, so that concludes our 2022 You Lead conference. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming like tonight at such a weird hour. So be sure to go to studentprograms.operationsmile.org, where you can learn how you can become more involved with some of the first steps, including like navigating the club starter kit on the website if you're interested in starting a club, or you can also explore and find nearby clubs as well through the website. If you have any questions, you can also contact, again, your region associate, which can be found on the website with their emails, which can be really helpful for you to get off the ground. So once again, thank you so much for coming, and we hope you all have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.